Hormones are very important chemical messengers for your body. Imagine trying to have a conversation with someone but saying the wrong words or saying the wrong things. That person may not have any idea of what you're talking about. That's the same thing that's going on in your body when your hormones are out of balance. So to help you bring those hormones back into balance and bring you back to a state of optimal health, I've recommended that you complete the salivary hormone testing. Now, salivary hormone testing allows me to be able to see for you these free hormones, and what I'm going to do is walk you through that collection process. Now, one of the things that is important for me to be able to see with this process is your cortisol levels. Now, to collect cortisol, or to be able to see cortisol, you need to have 4 collections throughout the day. Now, that means that you're going to have different intervals of when you need to collect these individual samples. But before we get into the specifics of that, let me walk you through the actual collection process. Now, collections are going to take place with these vials that you're going to see here. So I'll show you those here. You've got some vials, and within these vials, you're going to collect saliva. Now, a little trick that I've learned over the years is that when it comes to saliva collection, you're going to be very tempted to take that cap off of there, collect a little saliva in the mouth, and spit that into the container. Don't do that. What you want to do instead is continue to hold saliva in your mouth. The more saliva you hold in your mouth, the more you're going to want to salivate. And when you feel like you've got quite a bit of saliva accumulated in your mouth, or a mouthful of saliva, that's when you want to spit it into the container. As you're filling these containers up, it's the actual liquid portion of the saliva that we're looking for. So if you're seeing that there's a lot of bubbly contents in your container, that's not going to be adequate. You've got to fill that container up with liquid. Now, I mentioned in this that there are 4 containers in here, and you'll see that each of these containers is going to have a different color on the top of it. That coordinates to the time that you're supposed to do the collection, and within your instruction guide here, there's actually going to be timing, or the time that you're supposed to collect each one of those samples is going to be coordinated with the color code on the top of that container. Now, when you collect that sample, the next step that you're going to need to take is there's going to be some labels, and these labels need to be filled out and coordinated with the collection and the timing of that individual tube. Pull the label off, place that on the tube. On the form that you were given by the office staff, you're also going to want to make sure that the information that you put on this label is also the information that's going on the requisition form that was accompanying the test kit. Now, I want to add one other thing here, and that is that when it comes to when is the best time to collect the samples, it's really dependent, first of all, on whether you're male or female. If you're a male, you can really collect these samples at any time. There's not going to be one day that's going to be better than another. If you're a female, we're going to need to differentiate whether or not you have a menstrual cycle. So if you don't have a menstrual cycle, you can also collect these samples at any time. If you do have a menstrual cycle, you're going to have to be specific on when you collect the samples. So let's delineate. If you have a regular cycle, so a regular cycle is going to be on average 28 days. If you have a 28-day cycle, we're going to say that the first day you start bleeding, or the first day you start menstruating, that's going to be day 1. And on day 1, we're going to count forward 19 to 21 days. So if day 1 is the first day you start menstruating, when you get to day 19 to 21, you have a 3-day window there that you can collect your samples on. Make sure that you collect, whatever day you choose, make sure that you collect all the samples on that same day. If you have irregular cycles, what you're going to need to do is try to best determine when 3/4 of the way through your cycle period is. So let's say, for example, you have a cycle, but your cycle is short. Let's say your cycle is only 26 days. Then you're going to need to shorten when 3/4 of the way through that time frame is, and that's going to be roughly days 17 to 20. If your cycle is a little longer, let's say you go out to 30, 31 days, then your 3/4 of the way through is going to be a little further out. You're going to need to be around days 20 to 22, maybe even out to 23. So you do have a little bit of a window there. And if your cycles are just extremely sporadic, completely irregular, you're just going to have to pick when the 21 days from your last menstrual cycle, or if it's just not feasible to find that number, just pick a day and we'll we'll extrapolate the information that we need to from that. Now, once you've got all that information figured out and you've got the samples collected, the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take everything and put it into this box. That includes the samples that you collected as well as the paperwork. And then once you've got everything back into the box, close the box back up and place that box into this prepaid UPS bag. On this UPS bag, you have two options that you can do here. You can either take it to a UPS drop-off center, or you can have UPS come and pick it up from your location. Either one works. It doesn't matter which one you do.